Nomination offices closed in Salisbury and Margot, and all 4 candidates have been confirmed to contest by-elections in these 2 constituencies. The Dominica Labour Party candidate Dayton Baptiste and United Workers Party's Edison James were both nominated this morning to contest the Margot seat. Kairifm News caught up with Glenroy Toussaint, returning officer of the Salisbury constituency. He has reports on what transpired there today.
So far we've got 2 names, Julian Bentley Toloroye and of course Hector Spags John. So far these are the 2 names that we have. In terms of the day, relatively slow, very early in the morning, say a little after 9, approaching 10, we had the first individual coming in, and then say from about a little after 11, we had already had the 2 names completed and that sort of thing. So we've been there basically since after 11, haven't gotten the 2 names already, and basically waiting until it's the 4 o'clock hour so that we could basically move on.
That's returning officer of the Salisbury constituency, Glenroy Toussaint. Meantime, Kairifm's Alvin Alexander was on the ground in Margot and files this report.
After a bizarre turn of events today in the Margot constituency, 2 candidates were nominated. It was a day packed with controversial discourse as to whether a disenfranchised Margot Labour Party association should or should not nominate an independent candidate. Incumbent Parliamentary Representative Edison James filed his nomination sometime about 10 a.m. this morning. The incumbent representative has come in for harsh criticisms by disgruntled constituents who feels that he has failed in representing their interests in the past times, and even now with the unconsulted boycott. DLP Senator, on the other hand, Dayton Baptiste, filed his nomination sometime at 1:15 p.m. this afternoon. Baptiste, as a senator, has come up for several knocks and criticism from disgruntled Labour supporters and has told reporters that it has merely been an issue of sour-graped individuals, those who have broken away from the association but are in some way still affiliated. He said that they wanted to today appoint an independent nominee to contest, but up to nominations ending could not even agree among themselves as to what they even wanted. This though makes for a very interesting by-election in the Margot constituency. With the kind compliments of Country Style Bread, I am Alvin Alexander reporting for Kairifm News.
And thanks to Alvin Alexander in Margot for that report. Supporters of the Dominica Labour Party in Margot could boycott the July 9th by-elections. Former chairman of the Margot branch of the DLP Constituency Association, Harold Tyson, says he and a number of supporters have taken the decision not to vote at the polls due to the lack of representation by the DLP's choice of candidate Dayton Baptiste. Dayton Baptiste was today nominated to contest the July 9th by-elections in Margot on a DLP ticket.
Constituency members, including me, we have taken a decision not to send up an independent candidate, but what we would do, we would revert to our plan A that we initially planned to boycott the voting because of the fact that a candidate was selected and it's not our choice of candidate, and the gross disrespect that the party in general have had for us over the past time. So yes, of course, it will be going back to our plan A, where we will not be voting, and of course we will discourage as many persons not to vote if needs be or when the needs arise. But for sure, me personally, I will not be voting, and I believe we need to send a strong message to the electorate that they should not go to the polls and make these people understand that enough is enough. Both the United Workers Party and the Labour Party, make them know that enough is enough, and we Margot people, we will not accept their representation.
Tyson says there could be a low voter turnout for both the DLP and UWP candidates in the July 9th by-elections.
And we do not expect Mr. Baptiste to get as much vote as he got the last time. Neither are we expecting Mr. Edison James to get as much vote as he got the last time. Because if you walk in the community and you talk to the community persons, you would realize that persons generally saying I'm not voting again. I'm not going to just throw my vote. I put people to represent me, and they are representing me. So it's a waste of time going to the polls.
Former chairman of the Margaret branch of DLP Constituency Association, Harold Tyson. Former Prime Minister and MP for Margaret, Edison James, says he's concerned that there may be irregularities in the July 9th by-elections in two constituencies. James told Kairifm program Monday that cases of bribery have been reported in both Salisbury and Margaret. James has also accused the DLP of issuing monies to Dominicans overseas to return home to vote on July 9th, a recurrence of the irregularities, he says, that occurred in the December 18 general elections.
Let me say that the people of Margaret are going to be asked, and they will endorse the position taken by the United Workers' Party, of which I am part, with respect to electoral reform. That is what you're going to see happen here, to the extent that a by-election is in fact held on the 9th. The people of Margaret will endorse the position that we have taken, that we need electoral reform involving the provision and use of ID cards, the cleaning of the list, the question of access to the state-owned media, and the question of bribing. That is a very significant aspect, Alvin, this question of bribery as it pertains to people being brought in here, being paid, their airfares being paid, $1.2 million US being provided for that activity in the last general elections. People are still now being given, attempts being made to give people their little bribing elements in these constituencies. We're hearing about trucks going into the Salisbury constituency with goodies trying to deliver. I'm aware from information given to me that persons in the constituency of Salisbury have already been contacted for tickets to be sent to them to come here. The plan is not to do it by charter, which will give this activity too much exposure, but to send the tickets, send the money so that people can buy the tickets and all that. That bribery thing is still very much a factor and a feature, and it is really an affront that while the matter is even in the court, that they're still seeking to do these.
James says the people of Margaret are determined to endorse the position of the UWP with respect to the electoral reform being put forward. He says the people of Margaret could soon take to the streets their concerns.
ID cards, the list, the access to the state-owned media, and respect for laws with respect to bribery. That is what the people. And let me say to you, I gather from Alvin that you all were not allowed to record what happened in Margaret at the forum on Saturday night, which was promoted very much on your station. But let me say to you, the people at that forum, there was a call for Margaret people to take to the streets if they will not respond to the demands of the people with respect to activities, developmental activities in this area, and the call from the people for the electoral reform. There was a call last night, on Saturday night, for Margaret people to consider taking to the streets. It is irresponsible for us to sit down and deliberately, callously, and pompously ignore the calls of the people. It is not only the people of Margaret, who are calling for this attention to be paid to the legitimate requests of the people.
That's former Prime Minister and elected member for Margaret, Edison James. Attorney at Law Don Christopher says the Roosevelt Skerrit-led administration is trying to undermine the authority of the Electoral Commission. Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit announced recently that his government is putting measures in place to introduce a national identification card. According to Christopher, the Constitution indicates that the Electoral Commission shall not be subject to the direction or control of any person or authority. Reports indicate that the Electoral Commission has written to the President the need for voters' identification cards. However, Prime Minister Skerrit is pushing for the introduction of national ID cards.
I want to say, when I heard Mr. Austry speak about national ID cards, I now fear that this is a dictatorship and there is no respect for the law and the Constitution. Now, Section 19 of the Registration of Electors Act gives the Chief Registering Officer to cause identification cards to be provided for general elections. And when I heard Mr. Austry said that the state is willing to give national ID cards, I think what they're doing is to usurp the function of the Electoral Commission.